team. It's all reliable, as both Demo and Jesse absolutely and strongly agreed. Oregon is the most entertaining map in the entire map pool.
Sure.
Happy birthday, Doa, by the way.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Let me do a small area, just a petite.
Did you see his intro segment? Oh, I don't think you were here for it, right?
I did not.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. He was Naruto running back and forth on camera, and it was a great segue into the beginning of week number 2 here. Play day 3. Operator bans underway. Thatcher actually getting banned. Of course, this operator has seen a significant amount of bans throughout the history of the game, but with the secondary EMP's implementation, not as big of a deal these days, as you can substitute that gadget with secondary EMPs instead. Flores, same similar story. That utility clear that he brings to the table, just stable for every single team. Take that away, make the attack more difficult. It's going to be Beast Coast starting on attack and Parabellum starting on defense.
Operator ban still rolling in, getting rid of 2 reliable operators that you don't always see both get banned out for Cafe. Kaid is joining him, so that means there will be no real concern with those hatches. The only way to stop the hatches from getting opened up now would be if you put a bandit battery on top of it, or a mute jammer on top of it, which, by the way, we have seen teams do that.
Yeah.
I know you're laughing. I know you're laughing.
It was a thing.
I know that you are chuckling. However, especially in the old days of Oregon, you used to be able to put a bandit battery on that, and, you know, somebody punch open that front door barricade and they just immediately shoot their Hibana pellets in. Whoops! Now you have suddenly lost a number of Hibana charges. Back in the day, that would be 6.
Yeah.
We actually saw it last week on a border match when a team was defending downstairs in Teller's bathroom and they had put a bandit battery upstairs on the hatch inside of office. So it still does happen. I know you laugh at me.
No, but you know, you're not wrong. And you know what? I remember myself playing Hibana in Oregon way back in the day, having that exact same thing happen to me, where, you know, you punch the door open, you go for your WC Hibana, get it open, and you're like, okay, it got kite trick. Well, there's no kite back then. It got bandit trick, but like, how? And you realize that bandit just ran upstairs, put down bandit battery, and you just got made a fool out of. It does happen.
10 seconds left before insertion.
Put a bandit battery on the hatch.
Do it.
I mean, they don't have...
There's no bandit, but...
Play a bandit. Put a bandit.
Do it anyway.
Prove me right. That's all I want. All I want is for you to prove me right. Parabellum had some strong performances from individual players, being guided again by the 2 veterans in both Laxing and Skies. For those of you that are unfamiliar with how many years of experience those 2 have combined,
It's a lot.
I would actually argue that Laxing and Skies probably have more experience than the entire rest of this lobby combined. Hyper and Vertical have been around for a while, but just simply the hours that Lax and Skies have put in is insane. These were 2 integral members of that World Championship Elevate team that won the initial 6 Invitational, the inaugural 6 Invitational, all the way back on Xbox, back in 2017.
Jesus. That is wild to think about, to be honest. And speaking of like star players, both Spiff and Fish actually had a great statistical first week in terms of opening kills, but that's essentially where their success ends. In terms of plus-minus and overall performance, not the greatest start, but they are winning their initial opening duels, but PB as a team not able to convert that into a round victory.
I know that Mr. B was a big focus of the desk segment, and I mean, we talked about him quite a lot on last week's show with how animated he can get. But I gotta say, the most impressive member of this lobby for me so far has been Hat. Hat came in as a player that, unless you watch the Tier 2 scene, you might not be the most familiar with Hat. Same with Fish, by the way, and Spiker. So these are unknown quantities coming in. But Hat has been able to stand up on, oftentimes, stressful and tough roles, either on primary entry and primary roam, or on secondary, being guided by the rest of the team. Now, could that be the influence of Mr. B allowing Hat to have that level of success? Entirely, yes, it could be.
Yeah, I mean, certainly. We see Mr. B lead, you know, squads in CL and Tier 3 of North America, just doing so well time and time again. And the only common factor is when Mr. B is there, teams, they seem to thrive around him when he starts building in those fundamentals.
You might be wondering why we haven't really been talking much about this round, and that's because despite 2 minutes being gone, there hasn't been a wealth of action. Still late in the discovery phase, but Doc will discover Spiker in a position that he might not have assumed. There's our very first kill of the round. Time for the logic bombs to come out, and the pace will almost assuredly quicken for Beast Coast as they have fought the final 45. Hat encroaching upon the bomb site, clearing out reading. Still has one of those logic bombs, but he's just clearing blind as it's a drone late in front of him, giving him intel over towards 90.
I mean, the call has to come out shortly because it's execute with 25 seconds left. We gotta start pushing the buttons here.
You've got Parabellum still safeguarded in the bomb site. Skies from down below. Beast Coast will equalize. Hyper on attack, taking out Spiker. He was the one involved earlier on. Now it's Spiff to die from an angle he wasn't expecting. The pace, as you said, quickening indeed. Beast Coast killing everybody but Skies, who manages to take down Hyper, getting back to the bomb site. But he's still just out of reach as the diffuser will go down successfully. And we're going to need a photo finish for that one, Nick, because I don't know if the diffuser actually went down as the final kill came in. Beast Coast, excellently done on that very first round. And there's already going to be a call for a rehost.
Damn, you win the round and immediately go, rehost, go again, figure it out. I don't believe by my account the diffuser actually went down, but it certainly was a close call. I will say one thing that seems to be a pretty common factor on Cafe, both in I was watching EUL yesterday, is that attacking team seems to take a lot of time to get into the building safely. And I think this is due to, if you look at Cafe and how it was played all of last year, the last calendar year, teams would be very quick into the building, die early in attack, and then play that 3 versus 5, 4 versus 5. And it's so hard to gain any map control in Cafe when you're down in numbers because you don't have active droning. There are so many crossfires to worry about as an attacking team, and you just lose so much important utility. I mean, in that last round, if any member from Beast Coast, they die, they lose soft breach, hard breach, or utility that they need to get things going. For example, the Dokkaebi. So I do think that it's going to be very common for us to see, the attack and clock tick down to like the last 10 seconds of the round before we see the real execute, because they want to get into that 5 versus 5 stable position and leverage time for safety to have that even numbers advantage. Very happy, Mr. B.
Yes.
As always.
Is Vertical actually using Bo's quiet comforts as his...
Wait, is he... Surely he's not playing, but he has a microphone as well. So yeah, I'm curious... I'm curious how that works.
I don't know, yeah. I'm not exactly sure what he's doing, but like in terms of sound, I mean, obviously there's got to be...
He can also be tricking us and playing with in-ears underneath and just having them for the noise cancelling, maybe? I don't know. Maybe.
Could be, but I mean, how noisy...
Yeah, how noisy is your home?
How noisy is your environment at your house, Do you... No. Spiker very conveniently cropping out the back of his dresser that does not have a photo.
No. Yeah.
It's almost like he heard us.
Yeah, he like looked down.
He looked down. He's like,
I'm ashamed.
I'm tremendously sorry. Just a bit of banter going back and forth. Hat is gone.
Hat is disappeared.
Hat is gone. It's a hatless stream. It's the second time playing Cafe for
Beast Coast.
Beast Coast. That is correct.
Yeah, they beat Sonic 7-5 on it, which is, I think looking at like Beast Coast versus Sonics, you're thinking, oh my god, if they can beat the Sonics, they must be a really, really good team. And to be fair, Beast Coast looked incredible considering how new this roster is. But I also have to say, Sonics had a start that I think most people did not expect. They're coming hot off, the entirety of last year. They got on Citizen for Invite, didn't get the results they necessarily wanted, but then they want to, start off hot in the NL, and they had mixed results in the first week here. But they started slow, looked a lot better in the later games that they had, and I'm curious to see for Sonic specifically how they'll bounce back now here in third play day.
So, production is giving us hot takes right now.
Hot takes, okay.
And this is the hot take I was just told by production.
Okay.
We're both gonna have to weigh in on this.
Okay.
And I want the audience to also weigh in on it as well. Hyper's time playing on top NAL teams is over. Strongly agree, disagree, or strongly disagree. And I'm gonna put you on the. I'm gonna put you in the hot seat. I'm gonna have you go first.
I think. Alright, so maybe we say top team. We're thinking top 4, like what are we thinking? What's the top team? Let's define it just a little bit. Top 4?
No, you go.
Okay, let's say it's top 4. I would go with like a weak agree that his time is over.
Okay.
I think because you and I kind of spoke about this last week, where Hyper is not a first entry aggressive member. He's like a passive second entry. He needs someone else to help him do his job to the best of his ability, I feel like. And I don't think that's the way forward in the current meta. He also had a break. We always had to like kind of gauge and see how players they do after coming back from some time off, even though it wasn't that long. So I'm a soft or a weak agree, at least with the current meta.
I think that when you look at the top teams in North America, Hyper's time to make it to the absolute top is there if Beast Coast can make it to the top. Do I think, in all honesty, do I think that Hyper is going to get poached by one of the top 4 legacy teams in North America? I mean, there's obviously more than that, but I mean, if you look at historically the top teams in NA since the inception of the NA League, you've got Dark Zero and Space Station and Oxygen as the 3, and then that 4th spot lately has been Sonics, but I think M80 can make a pretty good argument for it as well. Obviously, there's been some issues with Sonics right now, currently sitting in 6th place. They've shown that it's taking a little bit longer for them to gel, but I mean, that happens.
It does. It happens.
New meta, new player, you know, maybe new leadership, maybe new system, etc. Do I think Hyper is going to get poached for one of those, 4 or 5 teams? I think right now, looking at their rosters, it's unlikely. Not because he isn't a talented player, but if he really truly lost motivation after his, the major win, whatever, with DZ, lost motivation, didn't really want to play anymore, had other stuff going on, just kind of wanted to take a break. There's lots of players who do that, but it's very hard for them to then find their way back to the top 4. Obviously, Canadian is a big exception to that in North America, but looking at the rest of these teams, I can't really pinpoint on any of these teams a player who is at the tippity top, like Hyper, major champion, consistently one of the top-rated players in North America, who takes a break and then is able to get back onto those top teams for one big reason, because I think all of those teams are going to question, is this going to happen again? What if Hyper loses motivation on that squad? What if he goes to OXG? What if he goes to M80? They win a major, or they finish 2nd in a major, and then those motivation issues pop up yet again? I think that's a problem. And I've even heard people say the same in the background about Canadian. What if he loses his spark? What if all of a sudden he's not as motivated based on where the game is at? What if he's not motivated with his team?
So what do we flip the question and say, so who would be the quote-unquote best player? And the name that I'll bring up would be Grixer, for example. Would you say that's like a hard degree, soft degree? Because I think Grixer and Newers are kind of lingering up there, right, for example. But
Lingering?
Lingering.
What do you
hovering.
What do you mean lingering?
Well,
to suggest that they're lingering at the top means that you don't think that they should be there for that long. They're just kind of sitting around and then they're going to fall. At some point, Grixer and Newers are going to get shipped out of the top 4.
I was going to say, I think Newers is slightly overrated, for example. Personally. I think he has an extremely high talent when it comes to mechanical skill, but I think he doesn't have depth. And I think the best players in the world at the top level, internationally speaking as well, they need to have depth. It's why Canadian is spoken of as like the best IGL, for example.
Sure. But I will counter that and say that I think the meta that we're in right now actually allows players who are a bit more passive on their entry, like Hyper, to excel, and a player like Newers, who, let's say at face value, he doesn't have a lot of depth, which I don't necessarily agree with, but let's say that I do. I think that there's a place for that because the meta as it stands right now, looking at the most successful teams in all of these regions, is one very dedicated hard support and then one very aggressive entry player and 3 flex. With that 3 flex that you've got, kind of like a sandwich, right? You got your aggressive entry / roamer at the top, your pieces of bread, whatever, and then you got your support at the bottom, and then you got that meat in the middle, right?
Yeah.
But you can put different things in there. It doesn't all have to be the same. You can have 2 other really aggressive players, and then your 3rd flex could be a bit more passive with great mechanical skill. Or it can have great mechanical skill and a very low understanding of the game, but still be able to thrive because that's not their role. Roles right now on those non-support players, I think, are quite fluid. So I think somebody like Hyper and somebody like Newers and somebody like Grixer, who you have your thoughts on them, I think they can still fit within the framework of a team as long as you build around that. If you have 3 Newers on one team, I think that's and they don't have the game understanding, the level of game IQ that you think they need to have, then obviously that's going to be a big problem.
I mean, I think 3 Neuros, if you just have 3 of those guys in injury, it would be a ridiculous team. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It's like, that would be kind of crazy to watch. But
do you then
need supportive staff around?
Exactly. And then that's when, back when we were we're in the game, by the way, back when we were in different metas where you needed, almost like 2 dedicated support players and then 1 flex and 2 entry, you didn't have that same level of wiggle room. So if you had like 3 really mechanically gifted players, but then you had poor supports, or you didn't have a very communicative team and IGLing was poor, then you need those aggressive players to benefit off of being droned in or getting calls on defense. If you don't have the people around them to kind of park their ego and say, yeah, I'll do the ugly work, I'll go on drones for 2.5 minutes, I don't think somebody like Newers is going to flourish as much. I don't think somebody like Grixer is going to flourish as much. I think the meta right now, though, allows them to because you have 4 players that can all kind of act on entry in different ways and flex where needed onto different operators.
Valid. True and real, as they say.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for the question, production. I appreciate it greatly. We're back in the game. Apologies for the slightly prolonged rehost. The score, as you can see on your screen, is Beast Coast up 1-0. First bomb site was that mining dining bomb site played on the second floor. Not always the main bomb site we see come out from teams. In fact, often not played by most teams. So for Parabellum to go there first is decently surprising.
I'll say though, watching Parabellum, and I mean, yeah, we've seen them play Oregon 3 times. We haven't seen that much from their map pool, but they do tend to play every single bomb site and kind of whip it out when they think it is most needed or best suited for them. And they do have what I would argue strong, quote-unquote, fundamentals. Their strats on paper, their setup, how they play together, but they fall short in the area that would be adaptation. When things don't go the way they plan, that mid-run adaptation to say, okay, this isn't working, how do we solve the problem? Usually that's their bigger weakness, if you will. And of course, converting those opening kills into round victories. We saw that in round number 1. Fish got the opening kill. What happened? They end up losing the round on a close one, of course, in that last couple seconds, but it was Beast Coast overcoming them on the bomb site execute despite being down a member. So it's small things of Parabellum that they gotta work upon, but besides those small things, look really solid as a new team.
This is one thing that I think can really help quicken the pace, even if we are already 90 seconds in, is the Nook being brought out by Beast Coast. Hat on the Nook. That's an operator you'd like to see get into the bomb site very quickly, but Skies tucks him into bed, gives him a kiss on the forehead, and that's going to be it. Hat's going to be in La La Land the next minute or so. Excellent shot by Parabellum to start this off, and it defangs part of that side push that it looked like this Beast Coast team was trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, you say change up the pace, but go faster and change things up, and it gets shut down immediately. There is still 2 sets of nades from Beast Coast. I can still fish for those kills from above. Laxing finds a second, though, making things even worse for Beast Coast as they try and get this execute started.
Yeah, they're really struggling to get towards an execute, because I don't even know if you can say they're getting into that range. Laxing is down, so at least the numbers are somewhat close for Beast Coast. But what do they do next? Well, they've still got vertical control. Mr. B picks up his second kill, Hyper with 1 as well. This is the Brava from Beast Coast coming in big. We don't know exactly what these Kludge drones have been able to take away. So Spiker now taking some serious damage. Spiff also being beaten to a pulp, but still the pulp has some life. Plant going down. Beast Coast had control of the bomb site. Now they don't. And Mr. B will be successful in the execute. Spiff swinging out, doing lots of damage to Doc, but simply not enough. The only player that hasn't a single scratch on the paint is Hyper. Nice shot from both teams. Doesn't matter. Beast Coast with that diffuser down. They take the round and they're up 2-0.
And it's the same thing as round number 1, right? Parabellum, they get opening kill, they look solid, things go well for them. It was a 5 versus 3 in that round, but then the mini execute where Beast Coast is find 1 or 2 kills without losing any members. They get into a position where they can start planting down that diffuser. Toxic Babes from the defending team. It goes wide. C4, not there. Verticality in control of the attacking team. So Plant is safely going down. The post plant, as we all know, has currently an 85% win rate favoring the attacking team. So getting on that diffuser should be your biggest goal in a round. And once it gets met successfully, you should just outright win it almost every single time. In Beast Coast, they know how to get that diffuser down. They do it 2 rounds in a row. Arguably, I would say that first round, it basically got planted. It was so close.
We appear to be in another pause, but are entirely unsure. It was requested by the teams. I don't know the reason. We will give you information. It looks like we're back into the lobby now. Not entirely sure.
I saw Laxing's kind of right. I gotta leave after this, so pause for a second. But I didn't really specify what he was leaving
Yes,
for.
Parabellum was calling for a pause, and we're unsure why. We'll give you. I think it was a technical bug, was what we were told. So I don't know if there was maybe an issue with something on Parabellum's side. Not entirely certain. Sometimes these things they happen.
Yeah, they do.
Like calling demo by the wrong name.
That was, I don't know, I was like half listening and half in my own world. And when I heard Jesse's reaction going like, ooh, I was like, wait, what happened? And I realized it got done dirty.
Yeah, when we were sitting here and he was throwing back, I actually didn't have the headset on. I was still doing like the last of like the setup for this matchup. And
yeah.
I just remember hearing it and I was like, did I travel back in time? I don't know. I'm not sure how Jacob would feel about being compared to somebody who's from Northern Ireland. So I think it kind of cuts both ways.
So I certainly would. But oh well. We love Harry Demo Dumpster.
We do.
Dempster, sorry, my bad.
And the Irish, both Northern and none. So.
Oh man, too much fun.
It's just friendly banter so far. Oh, Sky's in the danger zone.
Gonna trying to initiate an early gunfight. Sky's getting active, but he's in the Jaeger this time. Played mute in the previous round. Also seeing a rare bandit pick here on Cafe.
What did I say?
Yeah, you did say it.
What did I say?
No, Kai Claw, get out those bandit batteries instead.
What did I say?
You're a genius, Parker. You should be the next coach for a world-winning team.
I
like
should.
Fabian.
No.
Yeah.
I like Spiker's setup right now. He's double reinforced that cocktail, or sorry, he's double reinforced the piano side of the wall. And he's left open a rotation over towards the cocktail side through bathroom, but one of those panels from bathroom out towards the bar, out towards that bomb site under the hatch is still visible with the mirror window.
Yeah.
We've seen iterations of this early on that involve Mute, Aruni, and Castle. TSM was actually a really big fan of that. Oh, Spiff goes for a run out, a double jump out. Fish dives through the window, but he gets caught from Hat on the upside down rappel. Beast Coast answer back very quickly. It's reduced Parabellum to just 2 players with half of the round to go.
I like the answer, Tim, from Parabellum to try and trade back into good numbers, but again, Beast Coast is playing it slow.
They tried to, at least. Laxing in a tough position. Comes out of the back bar, and he gets punished for it. This is a very attacker-sided Cafe we're witnessing. 3 rounds in a row for Beast Coast. Is it timeout time?
Oh.
Is it?
Oh, is it? It is.
It is.
Yeah. But I will say this is also something that Parabellum seems to do continuously, where they will call a timeout after 2, 3, or maximum 4 round losses, like in like a 3-1, 3-0, or 0-3 scenario. And again, they do it. They want to stop the bleeding early and get ahead of the problem instead of being overrun, going down, 0-5, 0-6, and then like you can take a timeout. But can you really actually implement it in time, or is it going to be a half pointless? So I do like how they approach these things when they're down bad. NAL across the entirety of the first 2 play days was slightly attacker favored. I think it's 52 or 54% across the maps that we saw. So not a huge like, oh my god, this is super attacker favored, but this is a case of Beast Coast being a little bit better on the attack and Parabellum rather, not really being able to punish Beast Coast anywhere in the early and mid stage of the round. It was a great attempt that we saw, a double jump out to trade 1-for-1, but the issue is Beast Coast are playing a very slow attack. They're on their rappels, just waiting for things to happen. Playing it safe, and because of that, they're in the right positions to punish the jump outs, and they end up trading, favoring their numbers once again by getting 2 for the price of 1. So again, attackers playing it safe, sometimes you just get free kills, and then all of a sudden the round it's a little bit easier.
I think there's anything in the operator bans right now that are leading Parabellum to not go to reading, because what is widely considered one of the more favorable bomb sites for the defenders, and if not statistically favorable for the defenders, is definitely a favorable site for a lot of teams, has not emerged yet. Parabellum are going with what looks to be the same rotation, where they go to dining and mining twice, as they've done now, and then I imagine kitchen and cocktail will come in, unless they say, hey, if we lose here, let's try reading. We're already down 4-0 at that point.
Yeah.
See if it works. What do you think that could be?
I was going to say, the thing that comes to mind for me is it might be a matter of Parabellum trying to play... trying to force Beast Coast into a more unfamiliar position, right? Mining, dining is played less frequently across all regions, therefore you also have less practice attacking against it. So it might be one of those, like, maybe we can throw them off by going here, but given how the first time, the round number 1 ended up being a one round for Beast Coast, I'm not sure you should go back a second time. The thing about Beast Coast that they're going to attack this in a completely different way. Armor up, the freezer hats, go for a dining plan instead, 180 completely.
Hyper's one of the guards standing sentinel was laxing. He gets taken out. Hyper answered back by Fish. Mr. B's in the middle of the bomb site. 45 seconds in. Diffuser in his very capable hands. And it is not good. Spiker at the last second is there. Vertical, improper coverage. And because of that, it allows him to go down. Hat has his cover. Equalizing numbers back into a 2v2. Spiker on a single point of HP. That small mistake from Parabellum, or that small mistake from Beast Coast, allowed Parabellum all this time to now reposition, and they're stronger because of it. Sky's missing his opportunity onto the Ying of Hat, then spraying through the wall, does an awful lot of damage. We're still not even at the halfway point of this round. all hell has just completely broken loose. A third for Hat now leaves Skies in a 1v2. Still very winnable. Smoke goes out. Hat on a single point of HP. Skies has won these before. Diffuser goes down, does not go off, and he gets punished by Doc. That's 4 in a row. Diffuser could have gone down in the first 50 seconds, but that one small area, it looked like it was vertical. Not watching where Spiker was.
Yeah. Yeah, a mixture of that and the fact that Spiker happened to be playing Warden in that round, so like the Incandelas and the smoke grenades didn't obscure his vision whatsoever, so he could actually get an angle together with Frost to kind of make a play. Vertical going up the white stairs to top floor, aggressing, maybe arguably in the wrong direction, but also I think there was a clear plan there for Beast Coast that Vertical's job is not plant cover, but to create chaos, maybe let them think they might not actually be planting. If the Incandelas weren't going out, maybe that wouldn't give Parabellum the idea that the plan was actually being attempted, but at the same time, if you don't toss out those Candelas and the planet dies, you're going to be saying to yourself, why didn't we use our Candelas to try and blind the opponents? So it's one of those difficult decisions to make. I think Beast Coast, they played it smart. I think Parabellum actually, again, so close to punishing their opponents, so close to getting that round victory, but it's those tiny details and of course the individual gunfights not going their favor. When Skies got the cross from the person crossing in the Reading Hall in that 2 versus 2, had he gotten the kill instead of getting down to 1 HP, that was Hat on the Ying, that round could have gone differently, because then Beast Coast are in a 1 versus 2 instead of a 2 versus 2.
It was also huge that they cleared out the one player that was watching where Hyper was coming from as he ascended White Stairs. Now, he did lose the follow-up duel, but he could have wreaked so much havoc if White Stairs was empty, allowing Hyper to take up more space above the bomb site and enact even more influence and even more pain onto the rest of Parabellum down below. This is not something you see every day, by the way. Hyper is running Hibana with the Supernova. Now, we see Echo with the Supernova, and every now and then we'll see Amaru with the Supernova. But Hibana with the Supernova is a little peculiar. Hold on a second. They're just going to go for it again, by the way. Mr. B, at roughly about the same time, is about to hit the hatch. They're about to break into dining, and that bomb is going to go down. I was correct in my speculation about this being a reading defense. Candelas go off, smoke goes down. There's the diffuser in hands for Mr. B, but he's shut down by a nice Nitro Cell from Spiker. Yet again, the hero of this round. 3 kills from Parabellum puts Beast Coast in a terrible position. There's still 2 minutes to go.
I mean, this is one of those rounds where you go, they're not gonna think we're gonna go for the same rush twice, right? But the thing is, Parabellum actually in a great position to stop at deadness tracks when they went for it. Hyper on that shotgun Hibana was to go up the white stairs and take a close quarter combat engagement, but he actually lost that himself as well, so Beast Coast gained nothing in this round.
Hat and Vertical still in this position. There goes a nade. Skies has danced around it. He can be exceptionally patient as last 2 players from Beast Coast bunched up by White Stairs on the 2nd floor. Skies engaging, taking down Vertical. Say goodbye. Hat's now just collecting these exit kills, which are not particularly impactful. Almost could have got the Malusi of Laxing. He is doing some really impressive work, but he's got the 2 strongest historical players to deal with. Candela rolls in, he'll grab the diffuser, doesn't have a ton of intel. Laxing now, can see clearly. Skies joins in on the fun, dropping from the top floor. The 2 players from Beast Coast can pinch him, and there it is, Hat looking the wrong way. Skies taking advantage of that, and it gives Parabellum their first round.
But again, it becomes surprisingly close despite that early advantage. 4 versus 2, favoring the defending team of Parabellum, goes all the way to almost a 1 versus 1. Scary thing for them, but Parabellum, they get that well-needed round victory after being rushed the first time. They managed to shut it down that second time around. And I will say for Beast Coast, attempting the same rush twice in a row, it's a bold move to make, but at the same time, if you're up 4-0, you can very comfortably make those risky decisions, because losing a round in this is not the end of the world. Cathay, historically, slightly defender-sided. This could, of course, be the attacker-sided scenario. We don't know yet. Gotta see the sides will play out first. But when you get 4 attacker rounds like Cathay, you're gonna feel pretty good about whatever happens next. This will, of course, be the final round for the first half. PB looking to make it 4-2 to get a little bit of wiggle room on the side swap. It is difficult to attack, and PB, they should be very happy staying on the defensive side, but not necessarily the result that they want or need right now.
Yeah, if I'm Beast Coast, I'm very, very happy with this result. Keep in mind, Beast Coast did play Sonic's 7-5 on Cafe.
Yeah.
Obviously prevailing, so that's excellent. And that was in the very first day. Well, for them, technically, it was the second day.
I was gonna say, yeah.
It was the second day. We are running with an odd number of matches, so sometimes certain teams will play once a day, sometimes they play twice a day. As for today, Parabellum only plays once, Beast Coast plays twice, but that's because Parabellum's played 4 matches up to this point. This is their 5th time playing. That is a tremendous run for them. Late setup now coming in for Parabellum, 30 seconds off of the clock. We might have been accustomed to these early rounds because of the fact that the Amaru rush happened 2 in a row. Beast Coast will look for their very first pick. And I say that because through these first 5 rounds, Nick, Parabellum has either gotten the uncontested first blood or have been involved in a trade. And there it is. It looks like Hat will break that streak. And people have been very critical about the recoil on that gun, but it doesn't really matter because Hat has just silenced 2 players of Parabellum. And now it's Spiker's turn to feel the heat, walking away quite wounded. Good lord, that's a great start for Beast Coast.
And it's not just Hat on the Nerg, on the FMG, like Hat in general on this map so far has been an absolutely phenomenal player. On the Ink, finding 3 kills in that 2 versus 5, just always winning his individual gunfights, while also playing utility-oriented operators. That is almost a full package. Of course, a little bit lackluster in the injury department is Beast Coast, but it doesn't matter because I find the round victories.
And there's Mr. B down. Diffuser will need to be retrieved by somebody else. Beast Coast running Brava, the newest operator, a couple times now. Laxing was still inside a kitchen, much to his doom. Down he goes. It's Skies and Spiker. Spiker taking damage earlier on, as we knew. Skies has to get very aggressive. He does so, but almost not long for this Earth. Both he and Spiker now on low HP, but they can still hold a gun, and as long as they can do that, they can still put some serious pain on Beast Coast's side. How exceptional is Hat gonna be? A triple, and now it's Spiker lined up. Could we have the quad? Can you do it, Hat? Yes, you can. A beautiful 4K to seal the first half. Man, this debut from Hat just keeps getting better and better. 5-1 for Beast Coast on the first half of Cafe.
I mean, that again, a phenomenal round from Hat again, just playing that fine line between aggression and then falling back and like waiting around for a bit. Let the defending team move around, make them feel at unease, uncomfortable, and then strike again. Also, the benefit of playing the Nuke, you're silent with the gadget, can't get spotted by cameras, etc. There's no real, ways to counter Hat in that scenario besides winning your individual one-to-one gunfights, which honestly, Parabellum versus Hat, it just doesn't seem possible, at least not in that previous round. And now Parabellum in this unfortunate position. They're down 1-5, they go side swap. Now the difficult task begins for them. Theoretically, that is going to be the attacking side. Mirrors open for Beast Coast to use. They got Asami as well, they got Solis. There's a couple different operators they can choose to play with at their disposal. They're gonna start top floor with the castle. Could be one of those old, good, reliable strategies, right? Play in Cigar, barricade things off, barricade some piano windows perhaps, and start fortifying this area of the map that's going to be piano. Then just kind of wait and see how Parabellum will react. Either they will engage with the setup, drop the red hatch, find Cigar, etc. Or they'll have to swap over to the east side of the building, lay the cocktail bomb side and skylight, and try and attack from above and that window repel instead.
Well, through all of the NAL that we've seen so far, Cafe only played one single time, and it was with one of these teams who were involved, and it was an unbelievably attacker-sided match.
Yep.
Only 25% of the rounds were won by the defense.
Oh, God.
Bar Cocktail was played twice. Defense didn't win at all.
Okay.
The only site that Parabellum won on defense on this first half was the Reading Bomb site. And it had a 25% win rate through 4 picks. So that means 3 wins for the attackers, 1 win for the defenders. That means obviously Beast Coast are now in the unfavorable position. They went to all 12 rounds against Sonics. First bit of action now coming into Skies is dropped. He gets traded out as Hyper dies. Hat is on the ground looking for his 12th kill, but he's not visible from the red hatch. So he's in a relatively safe position. Peeks maybe a bit too much, a bit too eager. I mean, he's earned it with those kills. And he exposes himself to the top of red stairs, and Spiker finishes him off. Now it's Mr. B creating this mobile cover. As he going to lose them both? Yes, he does. But he's still got more of these Kiba barriers. Wasting tons of utility and still setting up the same Kiba system inside a piano.
Yeah, that's the thing about Asami's playing there, is that you can just create all these strong positions out of thin air, essentially. Mr. Beast being dealt with. Good utility usage by Parabellum, X-Kairos, and Asbreach is going to apply a lot of pressure on him.
And there he goes. He's fallen off. He decides to take the fight to the top of Red Stairs, wins it. Spiker not expecting the swing. Red control, still not where Parabellum wants it. They'd lost the Hibana there just seconds before. Now it's Doc taking some damage. Mr. B overstays his welcome, punished by Fish. A 2v2 with a minute to go. Parabellum's gotten in the building. They're at the top of Red. After losing the Hibana in that particular spot, they've got their bodies lined up. But Beast Coast have not relinquished control of that portion of the map. They still had Doc playing by deployable shield. Castle in great position. There's a rotate into Piano as well, bypassing the laser gate. But nobody's really moving a muscle. That's not good for Parabellum because they need to walk that diffuser in. Spiff takes some damage, deactivating the gate, and now the creep up from Parabellum begins towards Bar. There's bullets to the soft wall. Vertical sees it, losing the duel to Spiff. It all falls onto the shoulders of Doc. Squares himself up with the castle barricade, doesn't have a ton of intel, but he gets Spiff. Suddenly Fish has to get off the plant, and with the sidearm, it's Doc to secure the round. Tremendous game sense from Doc, and that's match point for Beast Coast.
Very small thing there again. Parabellum might not have trusted each other in that 2 versus 1 to get the plan done successfully, because when Doc went for the swing, they got off it, they took the fight 1 versus 1, and because of castle barricade on the left-hand door of Freezer where Doc was playing, he only had to worry about a single point of contact, and when you're in close proximity, that secondary shotgun can just guarantee, or at the very least, increase your odds of winning a very difficult gunfight with the UMP up close. Beautifully played by him, and again, Beast Coast's individual performances really shining through in this matchup. Had a number of rounds. Mr. B again, that we just saw, playing passive in Piano, waiting for the right moment, then striking, getting 1 kill, doing some damage before getting shot down, and then again, Beast Coast, they play passive in the 2v2. They recognize the attackers have to make the first move. They gotta work through the bomb side, go through the Runic gates, and work against the clock. It's about 30 seconds left. And when it came down to it, once again, they swing when they have to, and they win those engagements time and time again. Parabellum
10 seconds to
had a
insertion.
decent mid-round, but a slow first start. It was headshot and downside of Cigar, doing way too much damage, taking down almost 2 members.
Attackers are moving to
It's an
defuse the
expensive
bomb.
cost to take for the first initial room of the map. Of course, this bomb site downstairs in Kitchen and Kitchen plays out a bit differently. And it seems like the defending team is going to not give up the roam entirely, but there are 3 members in the bottom floor of the map, only 2 members upstairs roaming on a soft roam. So the roam clear should be relatively straightforward for PB if they choose to go for it.
It's already utility that has to be used just to gain what is usually not that hard spot of a map to get, which is that delivery wall. I suppose only 1 set of Selmas being taken down by Spiker is not terrible. He's still got 2 remaining in his pocket. In terms of this lineup of PB, they've got lots of explosives at their disposal. Anti-flank as well. Nomad has been a particularly strong operator that we've seen. A number of air jabs triggered. That's not something that is actually all that common at this level. It's not usual for us to see that. As for Beast Coast, they've got a utility eat-up lineup. They want to waste your nades. They want you to waste your flashes. And from both of these teams, the guns on Beast Coast have just simply been sharper.
Yeah.
So in that regard, it falls onto the shoulders of PB to bring a suitable amount of firepower.
Yeah, and it makes sense to play all this utility for Beast Coast because, again, time is an issue for the attacking team. So by burning down the clock, doing that soft roam, making Jackal, Fish walk on the map to scan all the staircases, they're going to start their vertical approach now with about 1 minute and 30 left in the round, which, if you look at the average spend of a round, that's actually a great position to be in, but they only have the buck. They don't have a sledge as well, so it's all onto Skies and to break the floor across the entirety of both bomb sites before they can hit that next step.
Dance around any potential nitro cells that he might be concerned with. There's only 1 on the board from Beast Coast. It was in Doc's pocket, but it's gone. Maybe pre-placed, maybe already used. Who knows? One of the ace breaches goes off. Spiker laying down yet another. So they might not have a sledge, but at least the breaches are being used to open up more sight lines down into this bomb site. There's a mute jammer to eat the drone. They know that there's one of these defenders of Beast Coast playing inside of VIP. That's exactly where that shield is going to be, a very common spot. If you want to go for a back take on this bomb site, you want to hit Freezer, you got to flush out VIP. That is extremely strong position for either a smoke or a mute to play in. And this might be it. Spiff might try to bounce it, but it misses, actually. I don't know if maybe he was getting a Banshee. I'm not sure what was there. Sky's out-dueled by Mr. B. That's the very first kill with 20 seconds to go. Parabellum's life in this matchup on the line, and things get even worse as now Spiff is tucked into bed as well. A dead drop from Parabellum. They get one kill. That's Fish taking down Mr. B, but then everybody else seems to be dying as they try to get out of Freezer, but it's instead a very hot Beast Coast to send this one away. 7-1 the scoreline. They make quick work of Parabellum.
Yeah, and this is the thing that I'm excited to watch is how our team's going to keep improving as these play days and weeks they progress.